Hey, what is going on? It is Crypto Bobby, aka Bobby Bear Market Beard, and if the past 24 to 48 hours keep moving in the same direction, this might have to come off sooner than I anticipated. Actually, no way. That's probably not going to happen. Number one, I like it. Number two, we still have a very long way to go, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves. However, looking at the overall kind of landscape and how things are moving in the past 24, 48 hours, like I said, it has been a positive development. It's been good to see at least a little bit of relief for the time being. So want to provide you with my thoughts as far as the market goes. Have we bottomed out? Are we finally out of this brutal bear market? Is this just some type of suckers relief rally, or where are we sitting right now, and what am I doing about it? So we will get into all of that and more in today's episode. Let's go. So I don't know what it is about me recording or streaming videos, but I was over recording the intro to this video before, and Bitcoin was over $4,000, about $4,050, $4,000 or so, and come over to my desk where Bobby Two Monitors likes to work, and we have Bitcoin now below $3,950. Dropped about $100+ within like the 10 minutes that I went from one place to the other place as soon as I turned on my computer. So hot start to the recording session, but doesn't take away from the fact that in general, the crypto markets in the past couple days have been really doing quite well, especially Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash has seemed to bottomed out pretty hard. So we'll pop over here to on-chain FX, and if we're looking at the market in general, Bitcoin is up about 6% in the past 24 hours, about 17% in the past 7 days. You have XRP is up about 2%, up 21% in the past 7 days, and you have Ethereum up 8% today, up close to 25% in the past 7 days. But one of the big standouts is Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Cash, excuse me. There's just way too many Bitcoin Cashes and BCHs and BCSVs. I get confused. But Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin BCH at ABC is up about 36% in the past 24 hours. On top of that, it is up 86% in the past 7 days. Now, it has gotten absolutely worked since the fork between when Bitcoin Cash forked into BCH ABC and BCH SV, and all of the infighting that happened there was a lot of kind of dumping sell pressure on ABC, or what is now kind of commonly still referred to as Bitcoin Cash. There was a lot of pressure selling Bitcoin Cash ABC to move over to SV from the guys behind SV. Whole big mess there. But still, as it stands, the sum of the two Bitcoin Cashes are right now, the two Bitcoin Cashes separate, you add them together, they are still worth less than what they were prior as one united cryptocurrency prior to the fork. So doesn't really make too much of a difference, at least like looking at that from my perspective. But depending upon, there were a couple people on Twitter, shout out Loomdart, he nailed that trade. It was up, as you can see, 86% over the past 7 days. So depending upon if you enter that in and weren't just bag holding Bitcoin Cash on the way down, that could have been a very profitable trade for you. Now, one thing I'm looking at when it comes down to the crypto markets, and a lot of people are thinking to themselves, there's a lot of kind of unnecessary euphoria, if we're being pretty frank here. The markets are obviously not. It's been a nice relief, but is this just a relief rally and we'll see a continued sell-off, continued dip, or is this something that's sustainable? One of the things that I'm looking at to hopefully help answer that question is the volume. We have seen nice volume in the past 24 hours. We're at about $25 billion in volume, which is kind of where we've topped out at a few different times in the past 3 months. We have not really exceeded $25 billion in volume. So if we are to, I think, maintain this momentum, we're either going to need to stay at that rate, at that level of volume, that $25 billion volume range, or even potentially exceed that. Would be really nice to see us get to that like $30 billion range, something that we have not seen since at the very least mid-September, when we were over a $200 billion market cap as a whole for the cryptocurrency markets. But definitely something I'm keeping an eye on, as we have seen some good momentum in volume. But for the rally to sustain, I'd like to see the volume sustain as well. And in addition to that, something that's really worth keeping an eye on, in my opinion, is the equities markets. And I am by no means qualified to discuss or predict about the relationship here between US stocks and equities versus the cryptocurrency market. There is a lot of discussion. Are they correlated? Is it a positive correlation? Is it an inverse correlation? Will people move from the crypto markets into those crypto markets into equities, or vice versa, or will they just flee to cash? What is going to happen if and when the equities markets go down? And we're starting to get at least some data on this, because the equities markets, US stocks in particular, NASDAQ, tech stocks have really been getting hit pretty hard in the past 30 days, in the past 60 days. We've really seen since kind of the fall has started, it looks like the equities markets in the US and globally have topped off, and we might be starting and kind of finding ourselves in a bear market for that. And that's something we necessarily haven't seen pretty much for the entire life cycle of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. It's pretty much been a raging bull market in equities, at least in US equities, since cryptocurrencies had some level of popularity in like 2012, 2013. It's basically been an upwards move in the equities markets since then. So what will happen if we see a major pullback in the equities? Will we also see that in crypto, or are they just not related enough? Is it not correlated enough? And this was, I thought, a great tweet, so I will include a link to this. But it was a chart that showed the correlation between the S&P 500 as well as Bitcoin around the rate hike announcement from the US Fed. And you can see here, so let's see if I can actually move this over. So you can see here on the chart at the pretty crazy correlation in terms of the drop between Bitcoin as well as the S&P 500 around the time frame of the Fed rate hike announcement, as well as the slight rebound we had. Granted, today, I'd love to see that chart. I don't have that data up right now, but with the kind of chart in general, Bitcoin has moved up 6%, while the overall S&P 500 NASDAQ has not moved in that direction. But we are going to start to see some pretty interesting data points around the cryptocurrency market, specifically Bitcoin, and maybe some of the larger assets versus the public equities markets, because I think this is going to be potentially one of the first times we're actually going to see some type of a downturn in the markets now that Bitcoin has some level of popularity. And would be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments or on Twitter as well if you're listening on the podcast. Do you think there's a positive correlation between Bitcoin and the equities markets, as in if the equities go up, as in if the equity stock market goes up, Bitcoin will follow suit, as well as if the equities market goes down, Bitcoin will also go down, cryptocurrency markets will also go down? Or do you think that they're inversely correlated? I've heard some people speculate on the theory that if there is some type of global downturn, people are going to be seeking alpha on their investments in other places, and potentially one of those areas is the cryptocurrency markets. I am of the opinion personally that there is unlikely to be a flight into a speculative cryptocurrency market where there's not great valuation metrics at this point in time. There's really some of the infrastructure is not yet built out to allow for kind of larger scale adoption or investment into the market. I am of the opinion that you're not going to see, if the equities market continues to move down and we do see a bear market globally, that you're not going to see some flight to Bitcoin because it is deemed and hailed as a safe asset. I do not necessarily think that's the case. I know that some people do. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments as well, though. So you might be wondering a little bit about just my general thoughts on the market right now. How is it affecting my portfolio as a whole? Feeling obviously a little bit more positive about the market in general right now. However, I don't think we are out of the woodwork yet by any stretch. How I've adjusted my portfolio, haven't done too much. The one thing that I did do was as you can see, I had 30+% of my portfolio sitting in DAI, or essentially in cash or in a stable coin. And when I saw Bitcoin and Ethereum were bouncing a little bit, ETH kind of bounced off that $80, $82 range, ended up waiting a little bit of time, but acquired about half of my DAI position and moved that over to ETH at around $95. So that has paid off okay so far. We're seeing Ethereum at around 110, 108 as of the time of recording this video. About 15% of my portfolio is sitting in DAI right now in case we do dip lower, because I'd like to obviously move that into Ethereum or into any other asset as of depending upon how things end up shaking out. In addition to that, I do feel comfortable, just generally speaking, with where the market is at, to the point where kind of on an annual basis, I put money into an IRA. I try to max out my retirement savings every year. So I maxed out my IRA account, which is, I think it's like $5,500 is what you can put in the US. It's just a retirement savings. If you're not in the US, it's basically what a lot of people use to save for retirement, and you can put in $5,500 after tax. And then you can keep that in an account for your retirement, put that into investments, whatever you want to do. So in addition to that, I put an equal amount of money into Bitcoin today, under $4,000. So that was something I think that, just looking back on where we might be, I don't think we're necessarily at the bottom of that, but it's kind of part of just like my general savings as a whole. I know I always talk about dollar cost averaging. This is something where it's not like a tiny dollar cost average, but it's a way to, I think, for me to increase my exposure into Bitcoin, while also putting money into the kind of overall financial ecosystem outside of cryptocurrency. So I'm not totally in crypto, because I do certainly have equal, if not more, money in the traditional financial world over the crypto markets. But I wanted to go ahead, and if I was going to put that money into an IRA, kind of increase my crypto position even a little bit more there. Not massive, but certainly something that I think is helpful for me, just to kind of always keep that in mind. So as of the start of even recording this, we've seen a further drop. We're now below 3,900. So I am definitely going to be keeping an eye on whether or not this relief rally kind of continues to build up any steam, or if this is somewhat of a head fake here. I think it'd be very nice to see Bitcoin get back above $4,000 and kind of hold above that range, hang out above that range for a little bit of time. Otherwise, not looking super hot in general. So we'll have to see how a lot of that ends up panning out. Love your thoughts in the comments as well. Outside of that, we'll certainly be standing by for any type of really like market moving news. This kind of rally we've seen in general, I think, just has to do with no specific news pieces. There's nothing really to attribute it to. It's just kind of standard market movements, and seeing that a lot of these assets, really kind of leading with Bitcoin, were deemed to be oversold, and people took advantage of those opportunities and now look to be taking a little bit of profit. But thank you so much for your time, guys. If you are new to the channel, would love for you to hit that subscribe button, the notify bell. If you enjoyed this video and podcast, hit that thumbs up. Thank you so much for your time. Crypto Bobby signing out. Hope you have a good one. Peace.